say for the sake of argument, your friend Gabe is starting to worry you. Gabe's always been just, a regular guy, not very political. He likes video games, sci-fi, comics.
I'm a big comic book fan. Mr. Justice, The Comet, The Red Circle. I really identify with them,
Star Wars and anime. White guy shit. For all intents and purposes, Gabe is a normie.
It's about this summer in Jason Blossom.
17 years old, and how will he be remembered? Was he doing everything he was supposed to do? Everything he wanted? I mean, did he even know what that was?
These things can make one feel like less than the confident white man they are supposed to be. And it's the closest they will ever come to being minoritized. It's important to know that Gabe is not categorically different from you or me. He's a cishet white dude. His problems are not unique. There's not a ton of research into the demography of the alt-right, but there may be a higher than average chance Gabe has a history of being abused or comes from a broken home.
Wait a second. That also explains why Archie can't seem to keep a girlfriend to save his life. He's got serious mommy issues.
Mom?
Hi, honey.
The things that make people like Gabe recruitable tend to be situational. It happens often during periods of transition, as dramatic as the death of a loved one, or as benign as moving to a new city. Things that make people ask big life questions. Gabe has concerns like economic precarity, not knowing his place in a changing world, stressful working conditions. In other words, Gabe is suffering under late capitalism, same as everyone.
Imagine this instant, frozen in time, when darkness won. Marked by an act of violence. It was...
Honestly, it's like nobody cares. My dad keeps saying leave it to Sheriff Keller, and I'm like, yeah, Dad, because he did such a great job of catching Jason's murder. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, that was us.
Inside voices.
No, don't stop him. Archie going Travis Bickle is my favorite Archie yet.
Here's how to radicalize a normie. The alt-right targets Gabe by treating his economic anxiety as one of many things bigotry can be sold as a solution to. It is their aim that when dissatisfied white men go looking for answers, they find the alt-right. The other is kind of the polar opposite of 4chan's cult of anonymity. Gabe ends up in the fandom of a far-right thought leader. These folks are charismatic media personalities. That's charismatic according to Gabe's tastes, not ours.
Boy who's captured my daughter's heart.
Daddy.
It's nice to meet you, sir. Oh, please. Call me Hiram.
They may get Gabe's attention through fairly conventional means, like talking about or even generating controversy to get themselves trending.
I understand your frustration with Sheriff Keller. And as for someone who's had his own share of run-ins with the law, I can say with confidence that the police aren't always the solution. Sometimes we need to take matters into our own hands. We need to be able to protect ourselves.
We're gonna lose our tape.
Oh, yes.
But what they tend to have in common, especially the most accessible ones, is that they don't present themselves as entry points to the radical right. In fact, many did not set out to be far-right thought leaders, and may not think of themselves as such.
Turns out that my father was correct about the Palladium. He was simply looking in the wrong place.
How they present is the same way anyone presents who wants to be successful on social media. Accessible, approachable, authentic.
Why are you telling me any of this? Because I like you, Mr. Lodge. And I love your daughter, and I think Agent Adams is a lot more dangerous than you are at this point.
The face-to-face relationship a budding extremist forms with their recruiter or the leader of their hate group's local chapter are here folded into one parasocial relationship with a complete stranger. Why this person appeals to Gabe is they're not selling politics as politics, but conservatism as a kind of lifestyle brand. Abandoning progressive principles and embracing conservative ones will make Gabe happier. Remember, Gabe isn't looking for white nationalism or misogyny. What he wants is the cure to his soul sickness. And these friendly micro-celebs are here to offer a shot of life advice with politics as the chaser.
Hopefully on some type of athletic scholarship. To study music. No, that was the old me.
Now I'm thinking more like business.
How would you like to start your business tutelage under my shepherding?
You mean like an internship?
This is how fandoms radicalize. They are built as, yeah, I'll say it, safe spaces.
I believe your father and I will make a great team. Moreover, in 18 months, Lodge Industries will be 100% legitimate, and Riverdale will be virtually crime-free. The safest small town.
And are told that the left is a threat to their safety.
You're serious? Southside High is going to be turned into
a private, for-profit prison.
Yeah, built on the bones of a high school. What the hell have we been building in Sodale?
What we've said all along. Housing.
For all the people who will work at the prison.
And you expect me to support this as mayor?
Given a choice between leaving a community that has mattered to him for years and simply adjusting to the community's shifting politics, the assumption is that Gabe will stay. This assumption is right often enough that a lot of fandoms have been colonized.
Let me tell you why and how this is the right move. For us, for Riverdale.
You just save that for whoever it is that you find to run for mayor, because we are leaving, and we are leaving now. Come on, Archie.
Dad, I'm gonna stay.
Excuse me?
I want to stay. I want to hear what Mr. Lodge has to say.
Then I will see you at home then.
What is true of both these methods, Gabe finding the right or the right finding him, is that Gabe does not come nor stay for the ideology. He's here for the community, the sense of being with his people, of having his fears validated and his enjoyment shared. The ideology is simply the price of admission. In order to keep him in, they need to disrupt his relationships to other communities and become more and more his primary online social space.
Mr. Lodge? What? Yeah, don't worry, I'm on it.
As this rhetoric slips into his day-to-day conversation, even as seemingly harmless irreverence, it may strain relationships with people who are not entertained by this shit, which can lead to a passive distance or an eventual confrontation.
Don't tell your boss who said that.
I was hoping to see Jughead while I was in town.
He's still at Southside High, Mom. Chained up like a lunatic.
Arch, you may not believe in what he's fighting for.
Well, I'm not sure he's fighting for anything, Dad. I think he's mostly fighting against Mr. Lodge, like a lot of people in this town who are afraid.
Archie.
Afraid? Afraid of what?
Afraid of having a vision, of seeing what has to be done and doing it.
I hope that you're not referring to your father, Archie. You can side with Hiram Lodge, even though he's a crook and has no intention of letting your father out of that contract, by the way. You can do that. That is your right. But I'll be damned if I'm going to sit here and listen to you disrespect him.
Which only seems to confirm what his reactionary community says about liberal snowflakes. It happens at Gabe's discretion and at his own chosen pace. It has not been forced on him, only encouraged and rewarded. But the fact that it hasn't been forced can make him all the more willing to accept it, because it seems safe to consider. Even though his life and social circle are changing to accommodate, he does not feel committed. But many Gabes have walked these halls, and if they close the door behind them, there is nowhere left to go but down. That he believe where he is as deep as the rabbit hole goes, and that he continue to believe this at each successive layer. Gabe is softly exposed to many flavors of conservatism, just slightly more radical than he is now, and is expected, at the very least, to not question their presence. This is an environment where de-radicalizing, listening to the left, would be sleeping with the enemy. But radicalizing further, you do you, buddy. Gabe's emotional journey, however, is somewhat more complex. But I need you to understand the toxic recursion of it. Gabe is going to these communities to get upset. Every emotion is converted into anger because sadness, fear, and despair are paralyzing, but anger is motivating. Whatever his problems, there's always someone he can scapegoat for them, and Gabe feels less helpless when he's pissed off. And so while he's topping up on reassuring nonsense, he's also topping up on stress. And being cut off from everyone outside the network, the only place he knows to go to release that stress is back to the place that gives it to him. It's a feedback loop, pulling him deeper and deeper on the promise that, at some point, relief will come. It is a similar dynamic that keeps people in abusive relationships.
Bad repeat, fighting the air to breathe. You can't touch me now.